I have been wanting to do this interview with my mom for some time now, and things just didn't seem to work out to get it done. And so when we were finally able to sit down and talk, I learned so much things about my mom and dad before I was ever even thought of. That just, these kinds of things just don't come up in normal conversation most of the time. And I am blown away with the things that I learned from this conversation. And this is one of the reasons why I started this channel to begin with. It wasn't to talk about minimalism and decluttering and all of that kind of stuff. It was about this. It was about history. It was about grabbing things that might otherwise have long been forgotten. And if nobody watches this video but my 3 daughters and their families, I will have accomplished exactly what I set out to do. And I think it's fitting that I am uploading this on November 26th. It's not my normal upload day, but it's my mom's 93rd birthday. So if you're watching this on November 26th, be sure and wish her a happy birthday. All right, I got all the cameras on. All right, so we've done a couple of interviews already, and you have become quite the internet sensation on my channel. And I've had a lot of people asking for another interview because they just like seeing you. But this interview, while it's probably going to be seen by a lot of people, this is not really for anybody but me and maybe the girls. So, because I wanted to talk to you for a little bit about Dad. And, I didn't come into the picture until late. Yeah. And there's probably stories I haven't heard. And I would like to get them recorded and be part of my own history. So I've got a series of questions here that I gave to you so you kind of look them over and we'll go through them. I may not ask them all, but we'll go through them. And the very first one is, because I know that you and Dad grew up in the Cherry Valley, Vandale area outside of Wynne, Arkansas. Big metropolis. Population maybe 300. So how did you and Dad first meet?
Well, back then, we were having Sunday afternoon sing-alongs in different churches. They mostly were held in our church out in the country. And so, since we didn't have a car, my uncle always took Baba Jean and me. And so we were at this singing, and of course the women on one side and the men on the other side, and all of us young people in the back.
Okay.
This guy kept tapping me on the shoulder, and I wouldn't turn around and look because I didn't want to be called out by the preacher.
Gotcha.
To come up front. So I just didn't turn around. I really did not meet him that day, but he already knew who I was or my name. And that, I don't know how he knew that, because somebody else told him. Anyway, that was our first thing.
Yeah.
And I think you asked about what we did on our first date, or...
Well, we'll get there in a minute. So what I'd like to know is, because if that was the first time that you saw him or met him, and whatever meeting that was, what was your first impression?
I thought it was too thin And he wasn't very good looking.
Well, he was pretty thin back then. I'll grant you that.
Yeah, he was.
So how long was it then from that moment till you had your first date? And what was your first date like?
Well, he didn't have a car. Of course, his parents had a couple of vehicles. So we couldn't see each other very often. I'm not sure if this was the first time we went anyplace, but some of my cousins and their boyfriends, and then that put us together. We went to the fair, and I think it was in West Memphis.
Well, that's a long way away.
It was a long way. It was an all-day affair, and of course, we had a good time.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the first time we did something. I just cannot remember.
There is an old picture. Of course, they'd all be old from that time, but there's a picture of you and Dad, I think, wearing cowboy hats, and JW and Loretta, I think, were in that picture. Was that during that?
That was the same one.
Same day?
About.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the boys were his friends.
Okay.
And they are the one that decided I was supposed to go too. But anyway, that's the first thing I remember that we went to. But I just don't know if it was.
Okay.
We probably saw each other at another singing in between that.
Yeah. So y'all weren't at the same school?
We were not in the same community.
Okay. But how far apart were you?
We were about, well, at least 15 miles.
Oh, goodness.
That was a long way.
Yeah, that would be a long way for two people who don't have a car. One of the questions I had was your biggest challenge you faced, and it sounds like actually finding a way to get together might have been the biggest challenge.
It was a big challenge.
Did you spend most of your time together at church events then? Was that kind of how it all started?
That's all we did.
Yeah.
That was our social life.
Okay. And these afternoon singings that you were talking about, were they basically just out of the old redback hymnals that whatever sang out of?
Right. I don't even know if we had that at the time.
Well, maybe not. Yeah.
But
I think it was published about that time.
when we were having our singings, we had the Church of God would send somebody around to the churches.
Okay.
And we had, not a hardback, just it's a small book, it's about this thick.
Yeah.
To sing the new songs.
Okay.
And taught us how to sing them.
Okay. Well, we did that at the Wind Church, didn't we, with, what's his name?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It just totally went over my head what his name is. So your first impression was he was too thin and not very good looking. So then when did you realize this is the guy?
I don't think I realized that.
Okay.
I think he asked my dad if he could marry me before he asked me.
Oh. Now, is that kind of traditionally how it was done back then, to make sure he had Dad's permission?
Probably his parents told him that's what he had to do.
Okay.
I don't know. I do remember him asking my dad. And then my dad looked at me and said, well, if you think you can take care of her, then it's okay with me. That's just one other person they didn't have to worry about.
Okay.
And really can't say that I just was really in love. I didn't know what that was.
Okay.
But as we grew together, we had right at 30 years together, you just learn to love them.
Yeah.
And they're the most important things to you. I think that's the way it was with me.
Okay. So then that was sort of the proposal, was asking your dad?
Yeah.
He asked him in front of you?
Yes, he did.
Did you know that was coming?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
He must have had his father's truck or something that day. I know it was during the daytime.
Yeah.
Because we didn't go any place at night.
Okay. And how old were you then?
I liked, I was older than him.
Yeah.
I was 7 months older than he was. But I know when he went to get the license, he lied about his age.
Oh, really? I've never heard that story.
Well, we were both the same age.
Oh, okay.
We were both 17.
Okay. You were legal. He just didn't want anybody to know you were older.
We didn't talk about that back then.
Okay.
But as we grew together, I teased him about him loving older women.
So you wind up getting married. What was the wedding like?
Well, we went to Sunday school. Now, we planned to get married after church.
Okay.
But the preacher called us up front, and we got married right there. So that's the way the wedding was.
So was his family there? Because I'm assuming your church.
No, it was at his church.
So was your family there?
Nobody in my family was there that I can remember.
Did they even know it was happening?
Yeah, they knew it was happening. But of course, they didn't have cars, so.
Yeah. Wow.
They couldn't come.
Marriages have come a long way since then.
My brother Hensel would have sure been there, but I don't think he knew that was happening that day.
Oh, okay.
Because he was not ready for me to get married.
Really?
He offered to send me to nurse's school if I wouldn't get married.
And you turned that down?
I turned that down because I was ready to be married, I thought.
Okay.
I mean, it was time.
Well, 17, yeah, why not? So you were married August 4th.
Right.
And so you would have been just a couple of months away from being 18.
Right.
Dad would have been almost a year away from being 18 because he was born in July.
Yeah.
At 11.
I was 8 months older than him.
Okay.
But his folks had to give him permission
to
do that. And he went to Harrisburg to get the license. But their town was Wynn.
Yeah.
So I guess he thought they wouldn't know any different. Those people know everything.
So did he have a house already, or?
He did.
Okay.
And that 3 or 4 months that we knew each other, he was preparing us a house to live in.
He had it together, I guess.
Well, he wanted to be married. And see, I didn't know he was doing this.
This is all new to me.
So, of course, there was no honeymoon. we went to our house.
Okay.
Uh,
I was going to ask about a honeymoon, but then I thought, well, maybe you probably couldn't have afforded one. And how would you get there?
We couldn't afford one. But he had this house. It was way off the beaten path. Somebody's farm. I don't know who owned the farm, but his dad, at that time, he was a builder.
Yeah.
And he was building some churches.
Okay.
Here and there, whoever needed one. And he knew where this house was. So he told him about the house. And he said, I think I could get you that house. Probably for no rent. I don't remember if we paid any rent there. But we lived there. I don't know how long we lived in that house. A couple of years, it seemed like. Because I know he farmed that first year. There were no jobs.
Yeah. Was he farming for the guy that owned the house? Is that how he got the house?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just don't know that. I know that the house needed some work, and he got everything inside cleaned up and painted. And he had some furniture in it, sparsely, but there was some. So that's where we went. But we weren't there very long till I was asked to come up to help his mother. She was expecting a baby.
Okay.
That would have been Dawn.
Okay.
So I went up until this baby came, and I stayed there. But, I don't know how to cook. It seemed like that Betty knew how to cook some things, and she was kind of helping me with that.
Okay.
And she wasn't very old either.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, I think you told me in one of the earlier talks we had that you were basically the dishwasher, not the cook.
Well, I was. I was the one that put them away.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I don't ever remember cooking anything.
Okay.
But I was always in the kitchen. I knew that I could make fried potatoes if I wanted to. I could make some gravy. And that's about it.
Well, that's enough to get a lot. That's enough you buy them.
So I remember the first thing that I remembered cooking after we were in our house. I cooked a pecan pie. You might have heard this story. And I forgot to put the sugar in.
I can only imagine how that went over with Dad.
Well, this is not the way my mom cooks. That didn't go over too good either. And I said, I don't happen to be your mom. You married this older woman, now let me learn how to cook. It was like that. Then we laughed about it, but we couldn't afford to throw that pan away that it was cooked in because we couldn't buy another one.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we ever got it out of that pan, but Of course, we couldn't eat it when we got it out, but I wouldn't want to see that again today.
All right. Well, I'd ask you about traditions. So, I mean, I know growing up, we had a lot of traditions around Thanksgiving and around Christmas and maybe Easter. And so, in the first few years you were married, what kind of traditions did y'all set up as being a couple?
We didn't set up any.
Okay. So what?
We went to Mom's or we went to his mom.
Okay. Well, that's a tradition.
Yeah. We pretty much did that all our life.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the traditions I remember is going to Granny's or going down to Arkansas.
Right. That's just the way it was.
So you were totally unprepared and caught by surprise when you were proposed to. So what is the most unexpected thing about being married that you think you learned in those early days?
But I didn't do anything like his mom did.
Okay.
She was a great housekeeper. She was a great cook. And she taught me how to cook.
Okay.
And I've always told everybody my mother-in-law taught me how to cook.
Well, she was a good cook.
Yeah.
I just remember she was totally insane, but she was a good cook.
I stayed up there with them till she was able to do some. You know, back then, they stayed in the bed several days.
Yeah.
After the babies came. And she had had 2 or 3 miscarriages, but for some reason she was determined to have one more child.
Hmm.
And I don't know why that determination. I do know that she told me when Dewey was born, they did not expect him to live. She had him at home. And the doctor said, I don't believe he'll make it through the night. So they made him a bed in a shoebox.
Yeah, because he was premature.
Yeah, he weighed, seemed like he weighed 2 pounds.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
And she just nursed him back to health. She was determined to have that baby.
Well, this is a little off subject, but I can never remember this. But he had a brother that died. Joe, is that his name? Was he before Dad was born or after Dad was born?
I think he must have been early on.
Okay.
I never knew Joe.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even know anything about Joe until much later in life, but
Yeah,
I do see his grave next to Granny and Papa when I go there in the cemetery.
I don't remember that. He must have been after Dewey because I thought she said, well, maybe he was before Dewey.
Yeah. Well, the next time I go back to Wynn, I'll look at his headstone and see.
I just don't know.
So what would you say is the biggest adjustments you had to make being newly married, besides getting along with my dad?
The biggest adjustment I had to make was not going to see my parents because we didn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
And seemed like I didn't get to go for about 3 months. And I know when any of us kids came in the house, if we wanted something to eat that was already cooked, we were most welcome to it. We didn't have to wait to be asked. We just come get it.
Yeah.
He would not do that to his family's house.
Mm.
And they told him, our house is your house. He said, I would never do that.
Wow.
I'm a man now.
Oh, okay.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
As far as I could remember, he never just went in there and got something to eat.
Okay. So you had, what year did you get married?
Pardon?
What year did you get married? Do you remember? I know it was a long time ago.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I know Steve came along.
I know it was August 4th.
Okay. Steve came along in 52 because he's 6 years older than me.
Okay. Well, we were married 2 years before he came in.
Okay. So then after you had Steve, how did the relationship change? How did things change in the house once kids were there?
You know, for the longest time, it took me a long time that I belonged there.
Okay.
I just kept thinking, I shouldn't be here.
Mm.
I've done something wrong. I need to go home.
Okay.
I just wasn't adjusting very well to married life.
Do you think maybe that might have been because you were so isolated there with no place to go and nowhere to get out?
Probably so.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I don't even know your question.
That was how did the relationship with Dad change after kids came into the picture?
Well, all the love we had went that way.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember his mother. I babysat Dawn until I had my baby, which was you, I guess.
Or was it Steve?
It was Steve.
Yeah.
And I know she came, we had an apartment in Rochelle. And she came over to, I guess, to pick up Ellen or to leave him because she was working. And because everybody worked.
Yeah.
And she said, I just am afraid to leave y'all here alone with this baby because I know you don't know how to take care of it. Well, that wasn't a very good thing to say, but we knew that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, of course, we just loved our babies, and that's just the way it was.
Yeah. So you were staying at home during that time after Steve was born. Later, you went to work at a canning factory, I think, and
yes, I think I went to work in a dress shop first. And then I got this job in the tin can factory for Del Monte.
Okay.
Boy, that was a loud place.
I bet it was. What would you think as you look back on the early, maybe the pecan pie incident might fit this, I don't know, but when you think about the early years, the funniest or most memorable moments that you can remember?
And that pecan pie was. Well, that first year, I think you've heard this story. we had moved on to Rochelle, Illinois, because there was no jobs. But Dewey had borrowed money to do this farming his first year.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how much he borrowed. I know we had $17 a month allotted for a month's groceries.
Okay.
Of course, you raised some of that, some of the vegetables and stuff. And people gave you stuff like that. And when we moved away, we had gathered, we were raising cotton. And we'd gathered all the cotton, and you usually put it in a bale and took it to a gin, and they paid you for it, whatever the going rate was. Well, we liked $13 having enough to pay that loan. Mm. So Dewey went to the man that he borrowed the money from. We were the only ones he loaned money to, but a lot of people. And he just told him to forget it. He said, "No, I will pay you. I'm going to move up north." Rochelle, Illinois was north to us.
Yeah. Well, it is almost to Chicago.
And so we already had people there that we knew. A lot of the Holt was already there.
Yeah.
And so he said, "I will find a job up there, and from my first paycheck, I will get the money to you," which he did. And that guy told him he was such an honest individual. He said, "I never thought I'd see a dime of that, but I appreciate what you've done. That proves that you're a good man." But this time, he was better looking to me than he was.
Well, he might have put on a little weight by then.
Right, he did.
So, disagreements, conflicts, fights, how were those handled?
Oh, that's easy. I cried and he pouted.
Okay.
That's the way it was.
Well, I learned the pouting.
The whole 30 years was like that. And it started mostly with a Mother's Day.
Mm.
He never bought me a Mother's Day card, gave me a gift or anything. He would always say, "Well, you're not my mother." And I would say, "But I'm the mother of your children. You can at least do something for your children."
Yeah.
They don't know how to do that. But he went golfing or something. We never got past that.
Okay.
That's just the way we settled them. We didn't argue.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember arguments growing up.
We didn't have
or I've been in friends' houses where there were definitely arguments going on with parents, but I don't remember them. But then I guess as I got older, I realized that I had sort of become dad because I would just go to another room and be by myself and not engage. And
right.
Yeah, so that wasn't healthy either.
Well, he said that his parents just fought all the time. He never intended to do that, and he did. Now, I didn't see them arguing, but she was definitely the boss.
Yeah. Yeah. She would have been difficult, I think. Yeah.
I'm sure she was difficult to live with. As I grew older, I saw how difficult she was.
Yeah. Well, that's the same for me. When I was a kid, the sun rose and set with Granny.
Right.
You know.
Oh, yeah. But, I always loved her. But I knew she wasn't always right.
Yeah. Okay. So careers, jobs, how did that wind up impacting your marriage, your relationship? Did he expect you to work, or did he expect you to stay at home?
He would just, when I complain about, well, I work too. I thought I was helping. But it impacted a lot. Because we just didn't. I would be on one ship and he'd be on another.
Oh, yeah.
And I always thought it was the man's job, regardless of what the women did. I don't know why I thought that.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that would have been fairly the norm for those days.
I was just glad when he had a regular job. But when we first moved up there, he got a job. He was digging ditches. And he kept that job after he got a job in this factory. I think it was the yarn factory. Now, I don't know what he did there, but it seems like they took this yarn off a machine and rolled it up on like a wheel or something. I don't know where I saw that, but maybe that was my imagination. But I also worked in a factory. And I worked in the canning factory. Other than the noise, I really loved working. I got promotion one time. My job first was inspecting the lids, top and bottom. And you'd have to push them out like this really fast because they come to you fast. And you just threw them in a can, the ones that weren't good. Then I got promoted upstairs where they were. My job there was putting the corn on a belt. It was already shucked, and I was putting it on a belt, and then it would be fed into this big wide belt. I would say 3 foot wide, and I don't know how long, but they were picking out the bad corn.
Okay.
And that was just most interesting to me, to see how stuff is taken care of.
Yeah. Give me just 1 second, because I think this camera just turned off. So I'm only using this for the wide shots. No, the SD card is full, so I can't record anymore on that one. Okay. Everything else be with the phone. We're about done anyway. So, well, let's end it with this. So, looking back, it's been a little while, but what would you tell your younger self about love and marriage, and what would you tell yourself that maybe you should have known or wished you'd known at the time?
I would say communication is the best thing. And there's no need in arguing. There are no winners in that. I think that's what I would say.
Okay.
I know when he died, I think I loved him more than life itself. So I learned to love him. And I kind of think about when people get married in a hurry, they don't know if they love this person. Not true love, anyway.
Yeah. Well, I would say that today, a 17-year-old who's been dating 3 or 4 months is probably doomed to failure.
That's exactly right.
And maybe if you live close enough to be able to go home, yours might have failed.
Well, it might help because I just felt like I wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And I kind of carried that on through my life. I always felt like I wasn't quite good enough to be here.
Yeah. So that's where I get it from.
I guess. I think I'm as good as anybody else, and nobody else is better than me. But I still have that feeling, well, I really can't be friends with this person because I'm not quite up to their standards.
Yeah.
And when you don't know anything, I don't know what standards are.
Well, I can honestly say I have learned a lot in this interview. So
You have?
I have. There's a lot of stories here I did not know. So
I couldn't imagine you learning a thing.
well, I think, of course, I came along in 58, so you've been married 10 years, right? 8 years maybe.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that happened before that just wasn't really talked about. I mean, I don't know much about Steve's childhood.
Yeah.
I really only know his childhood from his high school days is really sort of when I first remember a lot of stuff with Steve. And, you and Dad were just always together.
Right.
Didn't really matter to me how you got together.
We always did everything together. And I'm sure you heard this story. He had this habit of trading cars.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
We didn't need another new car. And I know you knew about I guess you got that from him. I said, if you go buy this car, I'm quitting my job. Both of those things happened. And I really needed a vacuum cleaner in the worst way. So here I was at home, no vacuum cleaner. So a salesman came along selling Electrolux.
Yeah.
One that you roll behind.
One of those big heavy things, yeah.
Oh, it was so heavy. I think I used that 30 years. I think I moved it here, maybe. Not sure. But I had to pay for it.
Mm.
So I had to do something to pay for it. But I finally got it paid off. And another thing, we had Steve, and we lived in Sycamore, right by train track, and the poor baby couldn't sleep. And we couldn't figure out why he wasn't sleeping. So we asked her doctor, and he said, "There's no baby going to sleep by a railroad track." Well, Dewey, we still didn't have any money. Dewey was asked if he would like to be on a bowling team with some buddies at work. I'm pretty sure it was bowling. It cost $2 a week to go bowling. So I put up with that for a long time before it dawned on me. Well, if you could spend $2 a week, I think I should get $2 a week. What do you need $2 a week for? I want to learn to sew. And I have to buy material and thread. I had this machine. I had bought this machine somehow. Anyway, I had a machine. And so he said, well, okay. So I took the $2 and got my supplies that I needed. Back then we called them gathered skirts. They were just skirt on a band. And so I couldn't wear those anymore, so I just used some of those and tried to learn to sew with that. And I remember that I had never seen the pattern before because Mom didn't have patterns.
Yeah.
But she made our clothes anyway. and they were pretty much just like a sack, but you put a belt on both sides so you could tie it around your waist or in the back.
Yeah.
And they always looked nice, and they fit us. We thought they did anyway. So anyway, that's the way I started learning how to sew. But Betty showed me this pattern of just a straight skirt. I had no idea how to even put that on the paper, on the table. And so she taught me how to do that. Now, I guess her mother knew how to do that. I really don't know. But I do know that she showed me the first pattern I ever saw for a straight skirt.
Well, that's all it took because you became a really good seamstress. Even making me a suit.
I did. That was so funny that night you wore that suit. You felt so self-conscious. And when you told that salesman that I made that suit, he couldn't believe it. He come to the store the next day, wanted me to teach him how to do that. Just like I could teach him that. And those bound buttonholes. I mean, you don't even see that on expensive clothes now.
Yeah, that's true.
But they were the thing back then. If you had something with a buttonhole like that, you really had something. And the machine would make a buttonhole, but I didn't know how to work it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sitting down with me again. And we may eventually come up with another set of questions for you. But,
I've told you everything I can remember.